We're going to get to the shout out, and this is going to be a little bit of an extended. I mean, we've already given Ilhan Omar, I think, like, how many shout outs? At least one.
Not enough.
Not
I
enough.
think like 3 at this point. But
I mean, she's the best person in
deserves every
Congress.
single one.
I'm going to put that on the line. Are we going to do the song for 10 seconds?
Let's get to the shout out.
Wouldn't it be cool if Ilhan Omar called in and she was just like, could you play the song without interrupting? Because I like that. The anarchy sound.
This is crazy. Shout out. This is out of control. Shout out. That's creepy.
Yeah, it is actually, in fact, out of control, creepy, and weird, the way that the Democratic Party is considering moving forward with a disgusting vote to censure Ilhan Omar. I was willing a couple of weeks ago to have a discussion about how this issue can be communicated on more effectively, both because anti-Semitism is a real thing and also because disingenuous, cynical people will use anything to undermine talking about apartheid in the Middle East. And that's, in fact, what this is. Ilhan Omar has shown extraordinary courage and commitment, as well as a willingness to listen to people of good faith, of which there is almost no one in Washington, D.C., and that's why this racist, Islamophobic, disgusting charade continues. This is in West Virginia, or this was at CPAC, rather.
Nope, this was at the West Virginia event.
This is a West Virginia Republican
At the State
event.
House.
State House?
Yeah, it was at the State House. It was like, it looks like the Kanawha County Republicans.
Okay, so this is a poster, if you're not watching this, and you can look it up quite easily if you have access to it. This is a Reuters video? Of basically it says, you said never forget, and it's a photo of the attack on the Twin Towers. Yeah, we can just pause. You don't need to play anymore. And then underneath it, it's a photo of Ilhan Omar, and it says, I am proof you have forgotten. I mean, this is some of the this is not only base bigotry and grotesqueness. This is in an environment of white nationalism from the Republican Party on down of, I would say, incitement to violence. And the Democratic Party leadership is not only not having this person's back, they're considering censuring her in what some of them, like Congressman Vargas, have been pretty honest about, which is that you can't criticize Israel as a sovereign nation state with a policy.
It's not appropriate.
It's not appropriate. Could you imagine if you insert any other country in that sentence? Iran, France, Jamaica, Senegal. It's a demented, ludicrous, disgusting comment. This is Ilhan Omar today demonstrating why she is in fact such an exceptional leader.
And so I don't ever want you guys to worry about me. Can't help but truly. You know, Rashida sent me a text message. She said, I know you told me you survived war and you're tough, but I really just want to come give you a hug. And I said, I don't need a hug, and I truly did survive a war. I'm fine. I am fine. I know what my mission is. I know what my purpose is. I know that as long as I breathe, that I will continue to make people uncomfortable in the best way possible. So you can send me your prayers and whatever support that you see fit. But I don't ever want you to lose sleep about an article you read about me.
So we need to have her back 100%. I'll say personally, and I don't. I mean, I've contributed to Bernie because obviously I think that undertaking is incredibly important. But I did take yesterday to send, nothing massive, but I definitely contributed money to her congressional campaign. That to me felt like a tangible effort to counteract what is a mass act of political terrorism facing her. And everybody needs to support her completely, fully, and unequivocally. There's no room for prevarication and bullshit. She is right on all of the merits of the policy questions. Incidentally, she has spoken out quite clearly on Saudi Arabia. That's a problematic formulation. If a Jewish congressperson criticized a dictatorship in another part of the world, I wouldn't immediately say, well, what's your position on the occupation? So that's a problem in and of itself. But that being said, I'll register that she has. And in fact, most people that are going to come into Congress and have an honest appraisal of a place like Saudi are going to be precisely the ones who are most likely to buck the consensus on a foreign policy built on Israel and Saudi Arabia in the Middle East, and ones that are going to question an ongoing commitment to both of these states with the abuses they commit. And of course, this has nothing to do with disrespecting or not caring about the safety and well-being of Israelis or Saudis for that matter. And again, look at that formulation. Nobody said in response to a tweet about Saudi Arabia, like, oh man, you're really feeding stereotypes about the Saudi monarchy. She's talking about policy issues. She's right on the merits, and the idea, the notion that she would not have a right to say these things because of who she is disgusting, racist, delusional in and of itself, and incredibly prejudiced and paranoid. So we need to have her back 100%. Keep calling your congresspeople. Keep sending your tweets, whatever. Call the Washington Post editorial page. They published such a disgusting and stupid and craven piece. I hesitate to even mention the guy's name. It's so utterly demented. This is Ilhan Omar is the Steve King of the left. And, and one thing I could say is, like, there is literally no Steve King of the left. That doesn't exist by definition. Because even the closest analogs that you can look for and actually find are people that the only reason you're saying that they are on the left is because they're a person of color, as an example. So I actually don't compare Louis Farrakhan to Steve King. I like Louis Farrakhan a hell of a lot more than Steve King, and to compare Steve King to Louis Farrakhan is an insult to Louis Farrakhan. But Louis Farrakhan definitely has said bigoted things objectively. And here's the secret of Louis Farrakhan. He's not on the left. By what metric would a socially conservative religious leader be put on the left? Get real. This piece is so unbelievably disgusting and stupid and poorly argued that it should go up the chain of command just on embarrassment's sake alone.
It seems almost crazy. Because it came out at such an inopportune time for
Right.
Ilhan that it seems almost coordinated, but it's such a clunker.
It's so stupid and overdone that they've shot themselves with it. Because what the best tack was, you want some plausible deniability when you're trying to do a political assassination. And the other thing I'll say too, and I don't normally do this because, again, I'm actually a good person to say AOC needs to step up on this, because I'm not the person who's always freaking out about this and that. There's politics. People have to make calculations. People have to make plays. She needs to be clear, unequivocal, and no bullshit on this. This is part of her cohort. This is someone that she has framed as a personal friend. And incidentally, even from a very cynical perspective, if you go to the New York Times piece with AIPAC talking about their strategy moving forward, they said, we're getting rid, we think in several years, Ilhan, Rashida Tlaib, and AOC won't be there. So whether you want to or not, whether or not you think that because you've gotten a lot of great press coverage and you can transcend this social democratic liberal dichotomy through your charisma and outreach, which, by the way, again, that's great. To the extent that's possible, go for it. But you also have a home and a commitment, in my view. And part of that home and the commitment has to be having unequivocally having the back of the most brave member of Congress by any objective measure, and someone that you're going to work closely with to do all the things that you talk about, even just in the domestic realm, whether it's healthcare, prescription drug prices, the Green New Deal. This is someone who's your cohort. She's right there with you. Steny Hoyer or Nancy Pelosi will always knife you on the merits, even if they're trying to smooth you now. So even from a very calculated long-term perspective, there needs to be clear, unequivocal support and solidarity now. No bullshit, no prevarication.
Yeah, if Ilhan can do the stand up on her own, you can stand up with them too.
Most
you've got
certainly.
a lot more cover than Ilhan does.
You've got an unbelievable amount of political capital, and I think that what some people have been way too fast to jump the gun, and not even just recognize the realities of being a politician. And I'll always defend AOC from a kind of puritanical nonsense. And I like her, and she's doing a really good job, and all the rest of it. But there's going to be certain things that the foundation of your career and where you come from, I think those people are going to take a lot of notice. And I think solidarity with Ilhan Omar is absolutely one of those times.
And Corbyn, frankly.
And Corbyn, frankly. Corbyn was a terrible signal. And you could have more, again, though, you could have more deniability of like it's a foreign leader, blah, blah, blah. But that was poorly played. You listen to some Twitter idiot. And, you know, again, but this one, Corbyn was poorly played and worth critiquing. This would be profoundly problematic and unacceptable. Do you want to say something?
I mean, you know, if you want to be a transformative politician, you have to be prepared to challenge the politics as they are. And you can't be so quick to look at, you know, a group of people who aren't going to be your friends when it comes to actually supporting the policies that that we really need to have, and to challenge the power base, which is frankly exposing itself right now when it comes after Omar and people who are sort of breaking a traditional Democratic Party line.
100%. And let's be really real about this. There might be a handful of people on generational lines that still think that any criticism of Israel is a form of anti-Semitism. And that is wrong and inaccurate, but fair enough. But plenty of other people, again, let's be honest about this. I mean, you got a guy like Haim Sabin who got billions off of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and funds the Democratic Party, said, Israel's my issue. And some of this is crass elevation of donor base over the type of democratic transformation that you're supposed to be about. And the fact that I even have to think to myself when I say that some asshole is going to say that I'm being, self-hating Jew or something is disgusting. And don't ever come to me with that shit. Ever. Ever. And don't come to Ilhan with it. Don't come to any adult with it. Because it's pathetic and it's an abuse of the term. Of like a very real thing. I mean, these conversations actually make us forget that is a real thing. Like people get murdered to this day because they're that.
I mean, people were murdered in Pittsburgh.
Precisely.
I mean, just recently. And, I just want to say, too, it's like that's so offensive that people have been doing it. And let's also not forget that Ilhan is not just being targeted because of her questions about Israel. She's being targeted because of what she's been doing on the Foreign Affairs Committee.
Because she talked about Elliot Abrams.
Exactly.
Because she was clear on Elliot Abrams. Because she won't support a
what's
coup
the
in
number one
Venezuela.
thing that the Republicans
That's right.
have been saying is that they want her off of that committee. And that's a very big part of it that we should not lose sight of, right? Because there's a conversation, there's a discourse conversation, but there's also actually a power conversation that's going on, which they're trying to pull her out of a position where she can challenge American imperialism and authority.
Yeah, and if they pull this and don't do this resolution but still pull her from the committees, that's absolutely not.
Absolutely unacceptable. Yeah. Absolutely unacceptable. You just enjoyed that Michael Brooks Show video, and you can get a lot more by subscribing to us here at the Michael Brooks Show YouTube channel. It's literally right there.